There's no way. I was just monologuing for like 10 minutes or something. And X just killed the space without saying anything. That's super cool. Very on brand for spaces. The highest alpha portion of X by far, and yet the worst possible feature implementation on the entire site. It's crazy. Well, let me just make sure that I'm still connected here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure how much got cut off. It said I talked for 2.5 minutes, but basically, it's very interesting what your description of failure is and what someone else's is. I was watching Sam Hyde's podcast clips that are uploaded to YouTube by someone who isn't Sam Hyde. So there's someone out there who cuts out clips of Sam Hyde and gets paid to do that. That's that's interesting. Um, but my point is there's someone talking on that stream, and he was basically asking this guy, like, "Oh, I'm 29 years old. Is it too late for me to figure out what I want to do with my career?" And it's like when you put that in perspective of like some 20 something guy who is trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life, and like that's been on his mind for like a few years, and you contrast that with some guy who's asking Sam Hyde. He's asking Sam Hyde in a Twitch chat, hey man, is it too late for me to, really lock in? And it's just, there's a whole set of people out there who are completely different than you are, and their standard of failure is just so incredibly different from yours. And, I've been dealing with some failure myself in the last like 6 months. But when I zoom out and I compare it to so many 20 something year old men who are in Hassan's Twitch chat and in Sam Hyde's Twitch chat asking, bro, is it too late for me to figure out what I want to do with my life? And they're 29 years old. It makes me feel a lot better about what I consider to be failure versus what other people consider to be failure. And yeah, it's like worst case scenario, I'll be completely fine. Um, it's difficult to have high standards, but not just be some pretentious asshole. Um, but at the end of the day, the only thing you can actually control is yourself. And so, if you have endlessly high standards for yourself, I guess it's better than not having any standards at all, and then deciding when you're 29 if you should hit up your favorite Twitch streamer to see what they have to say about your life, which is exclusively in your hands and your hands alone. It's yeah, that's I'm just happy that's not me. But it's really difficult on X, like seeing all these guys who just randomly blow up out of nowhere. Um, and X will exclusively show you things that are either completely in the normal distribution, in like the center cut, so just like the most popular things that the most people enjoy, or they show you the dumbest people and the smartest people, and it's difficult seeing. Well, and that's the problem with social media is like you get to see what people exclusively curate. At least with things like Instagram. Instagram is probably the worst offender, like Facebook. You exclusively see people's highlight reel. Um, I don't mean that like in their story reels or whatever, because that's like a thing now. I think on Instagram is like reels, but you exclusively see what people have curated to show other people. And on X, it's just exclusively like, oh, I've never touched a computer before, and now I made $5,000 a month selling landing page landing page builders with Chat GPT, and it's disheartening, but it is what it is. Oh, hey, you all are here. Okay. Well, yeah, so I'm pretty much just, pretty much, that's pretty much all I had. It's interesting having high standards for yourself and then seeing what other people on the internet are seeing as success or failure. And then, you know what, like, I'll probably be okay. It'd be super sweet to be able to sit down with me from 5 years from now and see that it was all worth it so I can stop sweating so much about it. But I think that without sweating so much about it, you won't actually get that thing. But it's just this endless treadmill of never being satisfied by any accomplishments because I still have like essentially the thing is like I've convinced someone to employ me since I was like 15 years old. So I can't be that terrible, but in the grand scheme of things, I actually like have essentially like almost zero skills. Like, yeah, I have a lot of different skills, but when it comes down to it, it's like I don't actually know how to sell. I don't actually know how to lead people. I don't know how to market things. There's more things that I don't know than things that I do know. And so, even though I do want all the success now, like, would it actually be warranted if I got it? I don't know. Um, yeah, but I just the only thing that I know to do is just keep keep learning. There's really nothing else that I like know to do. Um, yeah, priority number one right now is get a job. Get a job. I was working at Cloudflare, and I went to put in my relocation request because I'm moving away from a tech hub, and they told me, yeah, there's no way that we can approve this because you have to be moving to a hub, and you won't qualify for an exception because I'm not important enough in the organization, and the thing is that is 100% true. Um, I did not invent protocol buffers, and so you to get an exclusion for for that move, I needed to be way more important uh, at Cloudflare, and it made sense that it didn't get approved because what skills do I actually have, and like what did I actually build while I was there? And when I look at it, it's like, yeah, like I get it, and it's just the only thing you can really do is just get more skills. And like I'm so young. Um, I've usually always been like one of the youngest people in whatever group I'm involved in, and so it makes sense that I don't have enough skills yet. Yeah, it's just it's difficult because you see these like 17-year-olds who are like, oh, I just vibe coded a house essentially. Like I just vibe coded something and now I have enough money to buy a house, and it's like, wow, like whatever I've been doing is like way too risk averse. When I see the sort of things that people make that blow up, I sort of like see it as beneath me. And then a couple months ago, I can't remember what it was. There was some like vibe coded project that I saw, and I'm like, wow, this is a piece of shit, and this has like no utility. And then I sort of sat back and I'm like, well, you know what? Like, even if it is stupid or not an interesting problem, or all the other thousand things that I had in my mind, um, regardless, people voted with their money to basically say that it actually was important. And how can I how can I say that something is actually stupid or beneath me when what that got what that project was able to get that person is exactly what I'm basically trying to do. And it's like, you know what, maybe I should stop trying to build the magnum opus the first time every single time and literally just launch more small things, because my hit rate is zero. And so whatever ideas I have about how things should work so far is obviously not a winning strategy. So I think I just need to ship more stuff and stop buying so many domain names and just put it under my imdewan.com domain / whatever the project is and go from there. Because all these things that I see as like beneath me are like giving people the opportunity to do way cooler things. And so maybe success is just doing the same thing over and over again and getting some feedback and then doing it again but slightly differently until you sort of figure out what the deal is. It's difficult. I've been trying to launch like so many different things over the last few years, and none of them pan out. But if your hit rate is like 5%, then you need to try like 100 times before you can have 5 things work. So maybe I just need to ship more. It's so easy too, and that's the thing, is like the amount of abstraction layers that have been built for you to deploy something. Like 20 years ago, you probably had to like fax something to someone to be able to accept payments online, and now you can do it in like half an hour with a Stripe integration, or you can do it in 5 minutes with a Stripe integration because you don't even wire up the code on your site. You just put out a Stripe link and then manually add someone into the database by hand. And at that point, it's like there's basically no excuses for shipping things. Okay, got some requests here. What's up, Norval? Is it Norval or like Norvel? I added you as a speaker if you're still here.
Oh, yeah. It's normal. Anyway, I don't talk much. I have a horrible speaker on this thing.
I can hardly hear what you're saying. It sounds like you're talking inside of like a can. Can you like get closer to the mic?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it still sounds pretty. It's still pretty hard to understand what you're saying, but yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, well, let's just say I've had my own set of failures. It's me, and I just recently had to send off to someone else because, well, I don't know anything in EGI and WGPU. I was planning on making a game. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, making games is pretty difficult. I've always wanted to make a game, but every time I got involved, I either wanted to go too deep into it and never actually made anything, or I tried to go too high level and then just didn't really understand what was going on. Yeah, but yeah, laugh it up, Hayden. Maybe eventually, but yeah, I was doing some graphics like shader stuff in Zig, and that was interesting. That seems to be a good avenue to sort of get your feet wet if you've like never touched graphics programming before. But yeah, I kind of put the Zig stuff on pause for the time being because I've just been chasing like endless sort of small side projects without. I haven't actually launched anything in like, geez, like 6 months. Yeah, it's difficult. Let's check out some of the comments here. So Jess is doing the boring thing over an unreasonable frame. And it's hard because it's so damn boring in a domain driven. I think you meant to say dopamine. It's a dopamine driven world. Yeah. That's the thing is you have to find one thing that you can sort of just like endlessly iterate on, because so the problem when I was younger was I never stuck with like one thing. I always jumped from a different things. So like, oh, I want to make movies, and then I was like, I want to make video games, and then I was like, I want to be like a hacker, and then I finally settled on, okay, I want to program stuff, and then I sort of just did that for a while. And the thing is like, what you have to find the one thing that actually that you that you are endlessly interested in, and then just hammer that like relentlessly. Because if you're just constantly context switching into different topics, like it, it's not, you don't even become a jack of all trades. You just have I've tried a bunch of things. And is that someone that you want to learn from? Like, probably not. You have to get just endless reps on something. Um, and like, I've had so many reps on programming, but there's still so much more to learn. But yeah, Zach, you're 100% right, because like you you have to endlessly iterate on something, and you have to fight for your time like relentlessly, because if you don't, you're gonna be spending. So like for me, the trap is short form content in YouTube videos and X, of course. And so I wake up and I usually have 1 to 2 hours of actual time to do stuff, but I spend so much of that time just watching YouTube videos and going on X. And it's like, oh, I could be spending 2 hours every morning working on something that, will further my skills. And then when work is done, I could probably get another hour or two in. Um, and and then when you look at that on like the time scale, it's like, okay, 4 hours a day. If I spend 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening, like that's more than most people work at their regular jobs. And so you have to fight for your time and not get sucked into like short form video content or doom scrolling or whatever it is, because if you aren't constantly trying to acquire more time, it's just gonna eventually get eaten up by something. Like just mindlessly watching YouTube videos or endlessly scrolling on X. Like X has been a overall positive thing for me, but there's a limit to how helpful it is. And a lot of the times I go through long periods where it's not too helpful, other than a small monetization check. Selection bias only dictates, this is Harvin, selection bias only dictates that you only see the successes. If you're failing at things most people never attempt, that's still a dub. Yeah, that's the other thing, Harvin, is it's one thing that really bothered me as a teenager was all the things that had already been made, and just my sort of like lack of creativity or lack of perceived creativity. And I'm like what else is there to possibly make? And then I thought about it and watched the next 15 years unfold, and I'm like, oh, you know what? There's actually still an infinite amount of things to be made. And so th- I'm still in that sort of state though, where I'm trying to just figure out like what can I create that isn't some derivative. It's so incredibly difficult, at least for me, to come up with something that is not derivative and also is not some sort of like 5 year project or some like arcane sort of, just like, what can I learn? What can I build right now that will like up my skills and also be something sort of novel? And I built like two of those things, but I didn't market them very well. One of them was sort of already commoditized. So again, like something that was already built, and it's just been, the cost has already been driven to zero. So there's no way that I can really, improve on that. At least I may get some niche customers, but it's a highly commoditized, solution. Um, and so finding something that hasn't been attempted is very difficult. Um, you don't see the trust funds behind the scenes. Yeah, I mean that certainly is a thing, but I would think that the majority of things that you see of people being successful probably isn't due directly to someone having a giant pile of cash. And maybe in like San Francisco, in like the whole Silicon Valley area, maybe that is true. I don't know, but I think if you measure everything overall, I think that it's less common than it seems. Well, maybe not even that, but I think that it's achievable to do it yourself. Because the only alternative is, well, it isn't, and then okay, you're already where you are now. So what good is that? Consistency slash effort is greater than talent. Burns says, yeah, yeah. That's sort of the bitter pill to swallow. I mean, because like, dude, some people launch something. So exposure to the internet as a kid can be really really good or really really bad. And unfortunately for me, well, I would say overall it was very good, but the bad part is you get Jedi mind tricked into thinking that if you launch something, it will become big. At least for me, because I remember when the video game Unturned came out. I don't remember how old I was, but it's basically just like it's sort of like DayZ, but like kind of like in the style of Roblox, but it's its own like standalone game. And I remember playing that and being like, and it just blew up. Like this kid who made Unturned basically immediately, you know, he was set for life essentially. And I think he was like 16 when he made it. And I had tried and failed to launch so many different things at that point, and I was like, well, like how come when I launch things it doesn't work? And just some people have way better ideas and can execute on their super good ideas the first time, and it just works. Or it's not the first time, but they've launched so many other things. It's just like it's just a matter of time before they made something that people like. And so just to bring that all back, like there's so many info hazards and so much like brain programming that can go wrong when you see everyone doing successful things, and you only because it's what Harvey said. It's selection bias, or it's you only find out about things that more than one person knows about. Just like by default, you don't know about all the things that you never found out about. Um, and so it's sort of just like you have to just do that grind. You have to consistently, over and over again, just like get kicked in the teeth. And it seems like wasted hours, but like it's sort of like the when you've like lost your keys, you always find your keys in the last spot that you look for them. And so if you stop looking for your keys, you're not going to find them. But if you keep looking, eventually the last spot that you look for them is where you will find them. And so you sort of just have to do that. The thing that you want is basically not going to show up until you do the last thing that gets you there. And so that's just pretty much what it is. And that's why it's so difficult. Um, it's not nearly as simple as people make it sound. Got to get Harvin Jr. bath time. Keep pushing things, Harvin. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Uh, I remember I told myself, I'm like, okay, when I'm 18, I'm just gonna have my own business. And then I waited years, and I was finally like, okay, I'm 18. I'm like, oh, I don't know what business to start. It's just such a funny sort of way of thinking that like, oh, but by this point in time, I'll have this thing, and then just like completely deferring it and putting it in the back of your mind, and then just be like, what? Just surprise Pikachu face when the thing that you said that you didn't work on at all is now suddenly not in reality. What? That's crazy. So, oh, I forgot. I have to sort by the most recent replies. Burns, the lost key close is a common sales technique. What? The last key close? Is that what that's supposed to be? I don't think I've ever heard that before. But yeah. I mean, oh, okay, all right. It's ready. It's ready. I got a new keyboard because when I was streaming today, uh, I have this old Dell keyboard, and this Dell keyboard only has 3 keys at the bottom left, but all Apple computers have 4 keys at the bottom left. And so I had to shell out some money for an open box Apple keyboard that has Touch ID on it, so that I can actually practice with the keyboard that is actually designed for the computer, instead of remapping keys on the keyboard to things that aren't even there. So I'm gonna go do that. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.